Happy Feast of the Holy Family. I'm sure all your families are holy. I'm sure all your Christmas dinners were holy. What's the difference between in-laws and outlaws? Outlaws are wanted. That's a joke. That's a joke. So today's the Holy Family. I was preparing and I was reading Holiness for Housewives and Other Working Women. So I guess you're not all housewives. So at least I now I've learned how housewives can be holy. So I got something else here for everybody. The Holy Family is precisely in the family that we are called to grow in holiness. It's in the family that we learn to forgive. It's in the family we learn to have patience, to put on love, to be long-suffering, to be generous. The church even goes so far as to say that the family is the domestic church. And John Paul II would say the future of humanity passes through the family. When I was wondering what to read or discuss in my homily, again, I read this book, Holiness for Housewives and Other Working Women. I was rereading or reading commentaries on a play that the Holy Father wrote. He was an actor, and he wrote a play called The Jeweler's Shop. And it's a play about three couples and about the nature of love. John Paul II had a very dramatic family. His mother died early. He was mostly raised by his father, who in his own way is a saint. He saw his own father praying every night. It was his father that taught him contemplative prayer. But I was rereading the story of the Jeweler's Shop by John Paul II, and there's a lot of wisdom in it. The first line of a commentary struck me, though, as something like I had to think about for a while. John Paul II writes, "Love is not an adventure." And I thought to myself, that's the exact opposite of what I normally would say. Love is an adventure. In fact, today I just finished reading Lord of the Rings. Finished it today. So much required reading for homeschoolers. I probably would never have read it unless I came here, and I finished it today, which is beautiful because it ends on New Year's Day. I would have said faith is an adventure, and faith is an adventure. So why would John Paul II say love is not an adventure? Well, it's an adventure in one sense and not an adventure in another sense. How is love not an adventure? I remember a couple that got a divorce, but their song when they were going to get married was Bruce Springsteen. "Baby, we were born to run." Now that sounds like the venture that John Paul II says love is not like. It's a death trap. It's a suicide rap. We got to get out of here while we're young, because tramps like us. Baby, we were born to run. Now, a marriage that's starting on that premise is probably going to have to learn a few things. It's a death trap. Baby, we were born to run. Let's leave this doldrum, this fuddy-duddy life that we've been living, seeing our parents live. It's a death trap. Because tramps like us, baby, we were born to run. Or it's kind of like if your wife, after 50 years, starts singing to you, I've lost that loving feeling. You're like, oh, I don't know where to go with this. So love is not an adventure, but he says, it's the task of the whole man. It has the weight of his whole fate. It cannot be felt in a single moment. Man's eternity passes through it, and man's eternity passes through it. It cannot be in a single moment. Like that idea of baby, we were born to run, or I've lost that loving feeling. That's surface. I always think what's the beautiful image of love is a couple that's been married 55, 60 years. They really have very little to say to each other, and they sit on the swing, and they no longer feel the need to entertain the other person. Everything they need to say has already been said in their heart and in silence. It's the love that I saw in the hospital of a husband visiting his wife of Alzheimer's of 15 years, and she no longer recognizes him, but he goes to the hospital every single day. He would no longer be singing, baby, we were born to run, because their love is deeper. In many ways, love is the best when it's ordinary, and I dare say, boring. How many problems happen in a marriage when they feel like they've lost that loving feeling? When the love gets boring, when taking out the trash, making the dinner table, making the meal, taking care of the children no longer seems enough. Love is not on, this is what John Paul II said, love is not on the surface. Love is in the depths of the heart. John Paul II writes, the divergence between what lies on the surface and the mystery of love constitutes precisely the source of the drama. The surface of love has its current and flicker. The surface of love is current, swift, and flickering. And he goes on in the play The Jeweler Shop to reference three couples. And how many kinds of couples are there? There are couples that get married in their teens. There's couples that get married when they're 30, 50. There are couples that get married that have been widowed. There are couples that get married that have lost a spouse. Couples that get married that are not able to have children. The couples that get married that have 15 children. So many different kinds of couples. And John Paul II references three couples in the play The Jeweler Shop. One is a couple named Teresa and Andres. Another couple was Anna and Stefan. So it almost feels like personal. Okay, was Stefan a good guy or a bad guy? And then the daughter of Anna and Stefan, Monica, who marries a man named Christopher. The first couple, Teresa and Andres. Their love is short because Andres quickly dies in war. And how often that happens. It's better to have loved and lost than to never have loved again. The second couple, Stefan and Anna. They face a crisis in their love. And because of that, their daughter Monica recoils from a firm commitment. We are now in our third generation of divorce. And if you look at the numbers of the diocese, the number of marriages, the numbers on the surface sound impressive. 1,300 marriages last year in the diocese. But you divide that by 70-some parishes. Comes out to about 17, 18 marriages per parish on average. The number of marriages is way down. We're now in the third generation of divorce. And so many children of divorce are finding it like Monica to give themselves in marriage. But nicely, Stefan and Monica find the truth of their marriage and return to their faith and spousal love. So that's a couple. They might be having trouble in their marriage. Marriage may not be what they thought it was going to be, or as easy as they thought it was going to be. But they relearned the value of their wedding vows. It's a little bit like a priest. How many priests, after 5 or 10 years, find out being a priest is harder than I thought it was going to be on the day of my ordination? And because Stefan and Anna reconcile, their daughter and her husband are able to reconcile. And John Paul II likens love. Man is like a trapped butterfly in a cocoon. He is freed only by the experience of love. That we are made for love and healed by love. Love is our origin. Love is our calling. Love is our fulfillment in heaven. We all desire to be loved, not for what we've done, but for who we are. But in the play, the three couples find themselves in a jeweler's shop. And the jeweler is a symbol of the conscience. He sees through the window. And seeing through the window is an image of God who sees all things. And the play is about their wedding rings. The wedding ring is a symbol of their faithfulness of the spouse. Do you remember when you put on your wedding ring, or when the priest blessed the wedding ring? See in this wedding ring an outward sign of your love and fidelity. And there's a priest in the play, a Father Adam, who lives in that sacred space, has an image that he sees that is what is in man. And in the play, Anna feels hopeless and decides to sell her wedding ring. In most cases today, I don't think they sell the wedding ring, they throw away the wedding ring. But she decides to sell the wedding ring. The jeweler examines the workmanship, weighs the ring for a long time in his fingers, and looks into her eyes. For a while, he reads the date of our wedding engraved inside the ring. Again, he looks into her eyes, puts the ring on the scale, and says, "The ring does not weigh anything. The needle does not move from zero, and I cannot make it show even a milligram. Your husband must still be alive." It's beautiful, isn't it? The one ring weighs nothing. It only weighs something when put on the scale with the other ring. Your husband must still be alive. The ring weighs nothing. Then the jeweler says to her, "In either case, neither of your rings taken separately will weigh anything. Only both together will register. Then he goes on to say about his jeweler's shop, because the jeweler is an image of God. My jeweler's scales have the peculiarity that they weigh not the metal, but man's entire being and fate. They weigh his entire being and fate. The power to one ring only has value in relationship to the other ring. When a man and a woman make those vows to each other, they are committing their lives to each other, for better or for worse, richer or for poor. Their fate, their destiny, their union is tied together for now and eternity. In the book of Sirach, it gives us some advice for marriage. A God sets his father over his children, a mother's authority over her sons. That is why whoever honors his father atones for sin. Honor your father and your mother, that it may go well with you. It's the only commandment that has a promise. You don't honor your father and mother because they are perfect, because indeed they are far from perfect. You don't honor your father and mother because they were perfect. You honor your father and mother because they're the ones who gave you life. That's why you honor them. Whoever honors his father atones for sin. Whoever honors his father atones for sins, and will be firmly planted against the depths. It will be firmly planted against the depth of his sin. I was thinking about, too, honor your father and mother. And that can play into our parents. It also symbolizes honoring the father, the priest of the parish, the pastor. And I also think it also means honoring our Holy Father. I was thinking about how many times people speak badly of Pope Francis. And when the scripture clearly says, honor your father and mother. Meaning, if you're honoring your father and mother, you do not speak ill of them, at the very least. So honor your father and mother would also go and play into how we honor the hierarchy of the church. We call the Pope our Holy Father. Honor your father and mother, that it may go well with you. Again, we don't honor our parents because they are perfect. They're certainly not. There's only one perfect parent, Joseph and Mary. We honor them because they're the ones who gave us biological life, and they're the ones who gave us supernatural life. And in the gospel, Mary and Joseph and Mary, take their child to the temple to be dedicated to the temple. And I was seeing in this an image of what's a parent's primary responsibility over their children. To teach them the ways of the faith. To be good examples of how to live the Catholic Christian life. The most important obligation of a parent to their children is to teach them how to be good Christians. A parent's job is not to get them into Harvard. A parent's job is to get them into heaven. So you parents, how well do you fulfill this responsibility? How well do you model the Christian faith for your children. I was reading a book on the lives of the saints, the parents of the saints. And I was reading the life of, they had lots of parents, 100 parents of saints, so I couldn't read them all. But I was reading the life of the parents of Don Bosco. The mother of Don Bosco is now on her way to becoming beatified. His father died, but his mother greatly helped him. And the mother of Don Bosco said to her son when he became a priest, she said, "I was born a poor woman, and I will die a poor woman. But if you ever become a rich cleric, I will never darken the door of your house." She was a model of holiness. So every saint came from a holy father and mother, or most likely came from a holy father and mother. That's why when a priest becomes ordained, one of the first things he does is he kisses the hands of his mother. God bless you.